As a high-ranking Canadian Air Force officer, Russell Williams was highly educated, had a top security clearance, and commanded the country's biggest Air Force base. He was even tasked with transporting the Canadian Prime Minister, as well as members of the British royal family during their visits to Canada. And given his accolades, he was considered a trustworthy and respectable pillar of his community. But the married colonel had secret desires, and in 2008, he began to act on them by breaking into women's homes in and around Belleville, Ontario, and stealing the victims' underwear. With dozens of households being victimized, it was clear to the community that a repeat burglar was on the loose. But the culprit's identity remained a mystery for 2 years as his behavior escalated into physical violence. On at least 2 occasions in 2009, Williams violently assaulted 2 women inside their homes. Later that year, he murdered fellow Air Force service member Corporal Marie-France Comeau. Williams went on to kill 27-year-old single mother Jessica Lloyd the following year, but police were unable to find her body and classified the victim as a missing person. Investigators finally tied Williams to the break-ins, assaults and homicides after connecting unique tire prints that were left behind at the scene of Jessica Lloyd's murder to his vehicle. Williams confessed after being called down to the police station and confronted with the tire tread evidence, at which point he realized he wasn't going to talk his way out of the situation. He admitted to killing Lloyd because she saw his face and would have been able to implicate him in the ongoing spate of home intrusions. Williams revealed the location of Lloyd's body and told police where they could find more evidence. He said that his wife was unaware of his crimes and that he was opening up to investigators because he wanted to make the situation as easy on her as possible. While searching his electronic devices, detectives came across thousands of photos of him wearing stolen undergarments. The case received worldwide coverage, and Williams went from being one of the Canadian military's most respected leaders to the country's biggest disgrace overnight. He pleaded guilty to nearly 90 crimes, including Lloyd's murder, Comeau's murder, and multiple counts of breaking and entering, forcible confinement, assault, and more. The judge sentenced Williams to 2 life terms with the possibility of parole after 25 years. But given the nature of his crimes, a prosecutor involved with the case said it's unlikely that he'll be freed after serving the minimum amount of prison time, if ever. To show its disapproval of the horrific crimes Williams committed, the Canadian Air Force burned his uniform, cut up his medals, and even crushed his vehicle. Number 15. Todd Allen. Over a several-year period starting in 2012, Hutchinson, Kansas police officer Todd W. Allen pretended to be on duty during his time off and attacked women who were sitting alone in their cars at night. He also posed as a park security officer and was occasionally seen wearing a ski mask while lurking in parks, parking lots, and other public spaces in search of his next victim. The crooked cop typically approached his target by shining a flashlight into their car or knocking on the window. He went on to question the victim in an accusatory tone in an attempt to make her feel like she had done something wrong and would be in trouble if she disobeyed his commands. Allen would then order the victim into the back seat of his car or another private setting where he proceeded to assault her. He became increasingly brazen over time, eventually to the point where he sometimes told a woman's boyfriend or passenger to wait in the car while he led her out of sight and attacked her. Several victims later said that they complied with Allen's orders because they believed he was on duty and that there would be consequences if they defied him. In 2019, Allen began spying into people's houses. He was finally arrested in 2022 after a home surveillance camera captured footage of him trying to shine his flashlight into the lens in an attempt to obscure the image. Allen fled the scene on foot, but it was too late for him to prevent himself from being seen on video. The footage was turned over to investigators, and it wasn't long before they identified the culprit since he was one of their own. During questioning, Allen initially tried to chalk the situation up to a misunderstanding, claiming that he was out on an innocent bike ride when the video was captured. Under pressure from detectives, he eventually conceded that he could have been the prowler in numerous unsolved incidents. Further investigation revealed that he had researched cases that were not assigned to him using the law enforcement database at his workplace. Allen eventually confessed to being the so-called park prowler, and in 2023 he pleaded guilty to 12 felony charges stemming from the assaults of 10 women. He was sentenced to 23.5 years in prison and could see freedom again as early as 2043, but will be under strict supervision following his release. Number 14. Maritzio Damian Guerrero. In October of 2021, a New Hampshire-based OnlyFans model received messages from a 19-year-old follower named Maritzio Damian Guerrero, who insisted on buying her a TV and fireplace for her apartment. It wasn't unusual for men to buy her gifts, and the offer seemed innocent enough, so she gave Guerrero her address so he knew where to send the items. She came to regret the decision over the next several months as Guerrero repeatedly visited her apartment. At first, the woman entertained Guerrero's company, but she eventually stopped accepting his visits. She would later clarify that she was never interested in Guerrero, but that she had caved and allowed him to come over because he was extremely pushy. In February of 2022, the woman awoke one day to Guerrero standing in her bedroom doorway and staring at her. She called the police, and responding officers found the intruder on the roof of the home. During a search of the victim's attic, they found a Bluetooth tracking device, food, a cup filled with urine, and other items to indicate that someone had been secretly camping out there. Guerrero claimed that he was staying at an Airbnb nearby and that he came to the woman's house to take back the TV he had bought her. But his phone contained evidence showing that he had entered the home without permission and at a time when he wasn't supposed to be there, including explicit photos and videos of the victim that he had recorded without her consent or knowledge while she slept in the nude. The device also had an app that was connected to a tracking device found on the woman's keys. Authorities charged Guerrero with 5 counts of burglary. During his trial, his lawyer accused the victim of misleading the defendant and giving him the false impression that they were in a relationship. In an outrageous twist, Guerrero claimed that the woman had asked him to fulfill a stalking fantasy by acting obsessed with her. But the jury was unconvinced by the defense argument and found him guilty of 2 counts of burglary and 3 counts of criminal trespass, landing him a 1-year jail sentence. Number 13. Assad Akar. A 57-year-old peeping Tom met an untimely end in July of 2018 after a Florida couple noticed him watching them in bed from outside their Fort Lauderdale home. Assad Akar had allegedly been peering into Samantha Hobie's residence for years when she and her boyfriend, 30-year-old Victor Van Vickery II, caught him red-handed in the act shortly before midnight. And Hobie had reported the peeping incidents multiple times in the past, which is perhaps why she and Vickery decided to try keeping Akar at the scene until police arrived. During a 911 call, Hobie explained that Vickery was trying to restrain Akar. She could be heard repeatedly saying, "Tori, stop, that's enough." But it wasn't exactly clear what was going on until officers arrived at the residence, where they found Akar unresponsive on the ground. He had been brutally beaten, and Vickery was standing naked and covered in his blood nearby. Akar died from his injuries, and Vickery told investigators that he and Hobie were having intercourse when they heard a scratch on the window. Determined to catch the repeat visitor, he ran outside without getting dressed and found Akar standing by the window with his pants down. A struggle ensued between the two men, during which Vickery claimed he feared for his life and acted in self-defense. Hobie initially admitted to hitting Akar during the altercation, but she later recanted her statement, claiming that Vickery had told her to say that she participated in the fatal beating. No immediate arrests were made, and more than a year went by before Vickery was charged with manslaughter in connection with Akar's death. During that time period, Vickery was arrested for assaulting a woman, and Hobie obtained a restraining order against him, indicating that he was not exactly an upstanding citizen, and further calling for his claims of innocence in the Akar case into question. In 2022, Vickery was charged with fraud in an unrelated case for allegedly trying to sue Uber based on false claims that he was involved in an accident with a ride-share driver. In 2023, he was charged in federal court with conspiring to defraud Medicare in a medical equipment billing scam. Records pertaining to all three cases are being kept mysteriously under wraps, along with Vickery's current custody status, leaving the future of the situation unclear. Number 12. Jessie Johnson. A 48-year-old Lincoln, Nebraska woman had just finished shopping for groceries at an Aldi store in June of 2016 when a complete stranger grabbed her ankle as she got into her car, causing her to scream. A young man, later identified as 20-year-old Jessie Johnson, rolled out from under the vehicle, then ran off. Police quickly caught up with the suspect, who initially denied touching the woman and claimed that he had hidden beneath her car simply for the visual. It was Johnson's third time being accused of hiding beneath unsuspecting women's cars and touching them. In a subsequent interview with the Lincoln Journal-Star, he stated, "I just have this weird addiction and odd behavior. I don't know why." Johnson insisted that he didn't mean to hurt the victims, but this didn't excuse his behavior, according to police, who expressed fears that the accused grabber's actions would escalate in the future. A law enforcement spokesperson mentioned how some offenders never move past a certain behavior, while others graduate to bigger and worse things. But Johnson said that he thought he could stop his problematic behavior with the proper help, and said that he had started going to counseling in an effort to curb his compulsive foot touching. Johnson had previously avoided jail time for a similar offense, leading prosecutors to push for a sentence behind bars. In early 2017, he was convicted of 5 counts of disturbing the peace. The judge sentenced him to 2 years of probation, once again sparing him from jail time, despite the previous punishment's failure to deter him from reoffending. Just 3 months later, however, Johnson landed back in custody after he was seen going underneath a car in a parking lot. The witness jotted down his license plate number, leading to his arrest for disturbing the peace. Johnson's probation was revoked, but he has managed to avoid making news headlines for any further offenses, indicating that he finally figured out a way to control his urges. Number 11. Gian Verelli. Serial groper Gian Verelli made it clear through his dozens of arrests that the only way to stop him from grabbing women on New York City's subways was to lock him up. The homeless convicted predator's criminal history dates back to the 1970s, yet he repeatedly walked free as he continued to offend with little to no consequence. In July of 2012, the then 61-year-old was arrested for the 169th time for his perverted antics. In this particular instance, he was accused of grinding against 2 women on a New Jersey PATH train. Verelli was busted by plainclothes officers after one of the victims managed to snap a photo of him. She told police that she had encountered Verelli 3 times over a 2-week period, leading to a sting operation that resulted in his arrest. Verelli was held without bail on multiple charges, which carried a potential jail sentence of up to 18 months. As soon as he squared the matter away, he went right back to grabbing women on trains, leading to his arrest in August of 2017 for accosting a woman at the Broadway Lafayette Street subway station in Lower Manhattan. He served 9 months of a 2-year prison sentence, only to be arrested again in 2019 for slipping his hand up a 37-year-old woman's skirt in Brooklyn. Verelli has remained out of news headlines for at least 5 years, but does not appear to be in custody, leaving his current whereabouts and activities unclear. Number 10. Ashley Watling. After losing most of his money to cryptocurrency, 44-year-old British business owner Ashley Watling continued to make poor choices in other areas of his life. In June of 2023, his close friend's wife caught him inside the couple's home when nobody else was there. Watling made excuses for his presence, claiming that he needed to use the bathroom while dropping something off, but the woman remained suspicious enough to investigate and discovered that some of her underwear had been soiled. She later confronted Watling while secretly recording the conversation and captured audio of him admitting that he had made his own copy of the couple's house key without their permission. Furthermore, Watling confessed to committing a perverted act involving the woman's underwear, which left her feeling both disgusted and betrayed by her longtime friend. She reported Watling to the police, and he was charged with 2 counts of burglary with intent to cause criminal damage. During questioning, the accused creep said that he had committed the act in order to satisfy a fetish, and because he was having marital problems and wanted to fuck everything up. He admitted to entering the victim's property on 2 separate occasions, including when he got caught. Watling's defense attorney would later claim that the defendant's financial losses from poor cryptocurrency investments contributed to his stress level and ailing mental health, which he blamed for his behavior. Meanwhile, the victims underwent counseling for their psychological trauma, and the woman suffered from lasting paranoia and a persistent fear of men. In addition to the emotional and mental impacts of Watling's actions, the couple suffered financially due to the time, energy, and money they poured into their recovery. Watling pleaded guilty to the charges and was sentenced to 30 months in prison. The judge also issued a restraining order, banning him from contacting or going near the woman for 7 years. Number 9. Samuel Salas. Just days after being paroled in February of 2024, 36-year-old convicted predator Samuel Salas was arrested for breaking into a woman's home in El Cajon, California. The victim discovered Salas in her apartment shortly after 10 a.m. and confronted the homeless felon, who grabbed a handbag and fled the scene. When officers caught up with Salas near the apartment complex, they found a set of keys from the management office in his possession. He was booked into custody on suspicion of burglary, possessing a controlled substance, and violating his parole. Salas was no stranger to the law. Prior to his latest arrest, he has a lengthy history of priors, which included assault convictions, and had been taken into custody just months earlier for a previous parole violation. Despite his obvious pattern of reoffending, the court decided to free him 4 days before the home break-in. Thankfully, his case was handled differently following the intrusion, and records show that he's currently in state prison with a parole eligibility date of July 2025. Number 8. Timothy Maness. In early 2015, women living near the University of California Santa Cruz campus noticed a man suspiciously lurking in the community late at night. His identity remained elusive until a quick-thinking young woman named Haley Wolford caught him sliding her bedroom window open and snapped a photo of him. She would later tell reporters that she was essentially waiting to be targeted given the repeated sightings of the suspect in the neighborhood, and was prepared with a flashlight in one hand and her phone in the other when he decided to try entering her home. When Wolford caught the intruder by surprise and took a picture of him inside her enclosed patio, he reportedly tried making excuses for his presence, claiming he had lost his hat. But the bottom line was that he had no reason to be there, and Wolford screamed at him to leave. She turned the photo over to police and posted it on social media, leading to the identification of the suspect as a 28-year-old local security guard named Timothy Maness. Authorities believe Maness chose to spy on women in the neighborhood simply because he worked nearby, making it a convenient place for him to lurk after he got off work. He was promptly fired from his job following his arrest on 16 criminal charges, including felony stalking and burglary and misdemeanor counts of invasion of privacy, peeping, and aggravated trespassing. The outcome of the case is unclear. Number 7. Darren Duncan. In July of 2023, a California man with a history of peeping was arrested for the crime yet again after being connected to several incidents in Cameron Park. 32-year-old Darren Duncan was first charged with misdemeanor peeping in 2020. He was arrested again the following year after surveillance footage circulated on social media, prompting other victims to come forward with similar claims of being spied on. In that particular case, Duncan was charged with 3 counts of peeping. He was released on bail, only to be arrested for peeping yet again in 2022. Despite his history of reoffending, Duncan was released on probation with a GPS ankle monitor. Perhaps not surprisingly, it didn't stop him from striking again the following year. This time, Duncan was held in custody with bail set at $500,000. while investigators encouraged any other potential victims to come forward. Unfortunately, updates have not been forthcoming, and records show that he is no longer in custody, leaving the outcome of the case unclear. Number 6. Antonio Mack. In late 2023, a group of young women living in San Diego's college area were shocked to discover that a peeping Tom had been watching them while they showered in their homes. The next time the suspect came around, the women confronted him and he fled the scene. One victim, Jordan Grandy, told NBC News that she realized she was being watched when she noticed two glowing eyes staring at her in the dark, which left her feeling totally creeped out. She turned surveillance footage of the suspect over to law enforcement, who shared the man's image with the public, along with a physical description in hopes that someone would be able to help identify him. In the disturbing video, the creep could be seen lurking in Grandy's yard for 4 hours. Shortly after the photo was released, 57-year-old Antonio Mack turned himself into the police and admitted to being the man in the surveillance video. He was charged with prowling, peeping, and petty theft, and is suspected of targeting at least 2 different residences on 2 separate occasions. The current status of the case is unclear. Number 5. Edward Cordena III. 36-year-old Edward Cordena III was accused of taking stalking to a whole new level in February of 2024 when he was caught lurking outside a woman's home in New Hanover with night vision goggles and a gun. Police responded to the residence in the middle of the night after receiving a 911 call from the victim, who reported hearing a knock on her window. Officers pulled up to the scene to find Cordena standing in the driveway with a loaded 9mm handgun. Cordena reportedly tried resisting but was taken into custody without the situation getting violent. As a convicted felon, he's automatically banned from owning or possessing firearms. Yet a subsequent raid of his property turned up 3 more guns, including an AR-15 style rifle, along with a large amount of ammunition, a bulletproof vest, a stun gun, holsters, and a suppressor. The weapons were registered to 38-year-old Kristen Swigard of Warminster, and none of them had been reported stolen, leading investigators to believe that Swigard bought the guns for Cordena. She was charged with various felonies relating to the illegal purchase and sale of the weapons. Meanwhile, authorities charged Cordena with numerous crimes, including multiple gun-related counts, loitering, prowling at night, and resisting arrest. The victim told NBC 10 that she and Cordena dated briefly, but that they were never officially a couple. She described feeling terrified over the incident, especially when she considered the many ways in which the situation could have taken a wrong turn. The case appears to be ongoing. Number 4. Kenton Driscoll. Over a 2-year period started in 2020, residents in Farmington Hills and other parts of Oakland County, Michigan, were targeted by a serial prowler who was seen lurking in their yards and peering in through their windows late at night. The elusive suspect fled on his bicycle before police responded to calls about his presence, but he was incapable of outrunning the drone that officers eventually used to track him into a forest, where he was taken into custody without incident in early 2022. Identified by law enforcement as 56-year-old Kenton Driscoll, the accused creep was reportedly living in the wooded area where he was arrested. He had faced similar allegations 3 years earlier in 2019, when he was arrested for prowling in the towns of Birmingham and Royal Oak. People in various communities throughout the area began seeing Driscoll again the following year, and the sightings continued for 2 years before he was captured. Local resident Emily Toucher told news station WXYZ that she and her son were left feeling terrified in their own home after they found Driscoll hiding in their garage one day. Many other victims shared similar feelings after realizing that their privacy had been brazenly violated by the repeat offender. Driscoll's motive for spying on people inside their homes is unclear, but reports do not mention any suspected thefts, indicating that he may have had other reasons for peering in through residents' windows. In 2023, psychiatric experts testified that he was incompetent to stand trial, telling the court that the defendant made delusional statements and engaged in hyperverbal speech during mental evaluations. Driscoll repeatedly interrupted the examiners and appeared to be suffering from persecutory delusions, believing that the police, the judge, and possibly others were out to get him. One psychiatrist said that the defendant jumped between topics during conversation, describing Driscoll as somewhat uncooperative with the evaluation process. Following the incompetency ruling, Driscoll was involuntarily committed to a state psychiatric hospital to undergo treatment in an attempt to restore his competency. When 15 months passed without his competency being restored, the charges were dropped and Driscoll was ordered to continue receiving inpatient treatment while periodically undergoing evaluations to determine whether he's healthy enough for release. Number 3. While Quira, Cassini. In a disturbing case that made news headlines in March of 2024, a Florida woman, her boyfriend, and her adult son were accused of routinely abusing 2 victims over a several-year period. According to police, 38-year-old Quira Cassini, 42-year-old Ryan Londono, and 20-year-old Matthew Cassini harmed the victims in front of live audiences who watched over the internet. The situation was brought to law enforcement's attention by the alleged victims, who reported being horrifically mistreated while staying at the suspect's residence over Thanksgiving in 2023. FBI agents and local police arrested Quira, Matthew, and Londono during a raid at their home in Boca Raton after a 4-month investigation into the claims. Following the bust, Quira was fired from her job at the Massachusetts-based company Boston Scientific, where she had worked as a senior sales associate since 2022. She was charged with multiple assault-related crimes along with conspiracy and child cruelty. Londono, who worked as an IT expert prior to the raid, faces similar charges, while Matthew Cassini stands accused of assault. During the trio's first court hearing, Quira's defense attorney argued that no actual videos of the alleged abuse were recovered by investigators. The judge was quick to remark that over 30 videos were removed from the internet before law enforcement could get their hands on the material, suggesting that the suspects had something to hide. All 3 of the defendants are accused of committing unspeakable acts against the victims in addition to hitting, swearing, and spitting on them, but their attorneys remain adamant that there's no proof of the abuse. In fact, the defense insists that the suspects are the targets of a twisted revenge plot at the hands of Quira's ex, who they claim brainwashed the victims into making the abuse allegations. In May of 2024, the judge ruled that the state had failed to provide enough evidence of the crimes to keep the suspects locked up. Bond was granted accordingly, but records show that Quira, Matthew, and Londono remain in custody amid the ongoing case. Today's topic was requested by River Parish, Dove Master, and Nikki123BXD. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Timothy Warren Valier. In July of 2016, a nationally ranked high school rowing coach named Timothy Warren Valier was accused of drilling holes in a locker room wall in order to watch and film students as they changed. The 30-year-old athletic instructor went from being the 8th best high school rowing coach in the US to a countrywide disgrace overnight, following his arrest on federal charges relating to his alleged crimes. According to prosecutors, Valier surreptitiously surveilled female athletes for 4 years, amassing roughly 100 videos without the victim's knowledge or consent, which would have still been illegal. The footage, which was dated between 2012 and 2016, was recorded in 2 different changing rooms and organized into separate folders on Valier's computer, with the files being categorized based on the victims' first names. There was also a folder of videos labeled "to be sorted." Valier victimized 62 students in total. His attorney reassured the court that the disgraced former educator never shared the videos with anyone, but it came as little to no comfort to the victims and their families, who felt betrayed, violated, and disgusted by the actions of a man they once trusted. In 2017, Valier pleaded guilty as charged to 2 criminal counts and was sentenced to 22 years in prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release. Records show that he's scheduled to be released in 2035. As you can see, these perverts got the punishment they deserved. Now let's see how bigoted racists are getting humbled by everyday people and the law. Stick around till after number 1, because we've got our previous video of when racists go wrong coming up next. Number 1. Shameless fountain rubber. During the early morning hours of April the 1st, 2024, police were called to a park in Tokyo's Setagaya district where a 56-year-old man was accused of rubbing his bare buttocks against a drinking fountain. The suspect reportedly admitted to the act while shamelessly explaining that he did it to satisfy his physical urges. Officers arrested him for public indecency after searching his phone and finding photos of him naked in the park. The man said he took the pictures after looking around with binoculars to make sure nobody was nearby, but this did not excuse him from his grimy behavior. Following his arrest, the police cordoned off the fountain and closed it to public use with plans to replace the tainted plumbing with clean hardware. Just a short while after the man's first arrest, he was seen riding a bicycle in public with no bottoms on, leaving his lower half completely exposed. He was arrested again, and the authorities tacked on an additional charge for property damage after examining his phone again and realizing just how close he had gotten with the fountain. A clip went viral on social media in December of 2020, showing a man at a Circle K in the city of Elyria, Ohio, getting attacked while in the midst of a racist rant. As he was standing in line at the cash register, a belligerent white man launched a verbal tirade at a black man, insulting his mother and repeatedly calling him the N-word. The mouthy man told the target of his rant that he wasn't trying to disrespect him, but claimed that he could say the N-word all day, every day. He then repeated the slur when asking the man where he was from, to which the latter simply replied, "From here." As tensions escalated, the berated man grabbed a can of twisted tea, whereupon the harasser asked, "Are you going to smack me with that?" before repeatedly shouting, "Smack me." The berated man flipped the can, dropped it, and the other man tried to kick it away. Moments later, the former grabbed the can off the floor and struck his harasser in the head with it, applying such force that it exploded on impact and sent the ranting man stumbling backwards. The customer filming the incident was consequently heard saying, "Yeah, you got yours, buddy." The dazed man got up and charged the other man, but was taken down with a wrestling move and repeatedly punched in the head. As his victim-turned attacker facetiously asked him to call him the N-word again. The ranting racist was briefly held in a chokehold and asked if he was good, to which he replied affirmatively, before he was released and fell on his knees. Number 7. Ryan Kennedy and Jessie Jones. In the spring of 2022, a Miami couple were fought off and ended up in the Miami-Dade County Jail after a failed robbery. An unnamed 18-year-old male had been walking on a Miami Beach sidewalk with his sister-in-law when he was approached by Ryan Kennedy and Jessie Jones. The couple attacked the teenager in an attempt to take his iPhone 11, but he fought back. The 18-year-old landed a kick to Kennedy's head, which the witness who'd captured the incident later described as, "That was like some WWE stuff right there. Bruce Lee, you know." The victim's sister-in-law joined the conflict, and a wild brawl ensued, during which all four of them ended up grappling on the ground. The thieving couple's strikes were accompanied by hateful words, as Kennedy was captured on video saying, "Go back to Puerto Rico. You don't belong here, you immigrant," followed by racially charged expletives. As the altercation reached its climax, Jones was seen using her purse as a whip to strike the victims. The video ended with Kennedy shoving the teen, but also Jones, as he pushed her by the head, causing her to lose her balance and drop to the ground. The clip was seen by the police, and the couple were arrested for aggravated battery and strong-arm robbery. Jones's booking photo showed her with a swollen eye and multiple scratches she'd sustained in the fight. Number 6. Incident in U.S. store. In the fall of 2019, surveillance footage from a store in the U.S. captured an alleged white supremacist as he approached a black woman who was with a young child at the cash register. He reportedly called the woman a racial slur, prompting her to walk away. A black man who'd been standing a few feet from them and had watched the incident unfold blindsided the verbal aggressor with a powerful punch. The bystander landed a haymaker to the man's head, causing him to bend backwards and drop to the floor. As the alleged racist got back to his feet, he tried squaring up to the man who'd struck him. He was thus hit 4 additional times, with each punch being a potential knockout blow, if not for their rapid succession, which kept the staggered man upright. The fourth strike left him unconscious on the floor, splayed over various products, but he was eventually picked up by the man who'd attacked him and thrown towards the exit. Number 5. Vonel Cook. 77-year-old Florida man Vonel Cook walked into a Tampa Dunkin' Donuts in May of 2021 to complain about the lack of service he'd been receiving at the drive-thru. Cook was known to be regularly abusive and troublesome towards the establishment's employees. Upon being asked to leave, Cook, a white man, verbally abused 27-year-old employee Corey Pujols by calling him the N-word. Pujols asked the elderly man not to repeat the slur. When he did, the Dunkin' Donuts worker punched him in the jaw. Cook was knocked unconscious, fell and hit his head. He was rushed to the hospital with contusions on his brain and a skull fracture. He passed away from the injuries 3 days later. Pujols was arrested on the charge of manslaughter, to which he pleaded not guilty. Under a deal with Hillsborough County prosecutors, he eventually admitted the lesser charge of felony battery. He was ultimately sentenced to house arrest for 2 years in order to complete 200 hours of community service, in addition to undergoing anger management courses. According to prosecutors from the state attorney's office, several circumstantial factors were considered during sentencing, including the aggressive approach and despicable racial slur used by Cook, as well as Pujols' age, the fact that he hadn't intended to cause the man's death, and his lack of a criminal record. Number 4. American Airlines Center incident. In early February of 2023, an argument broke out involving two people who were attending an ice hockey game between the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild at the American Airlines Center in Texas. None of the people involved were identified, but it was reported that the argument had been over seating. A clip which subsequently went viral would show a man wearing a dark polo t-shirt being confronted by another man sporting a mullet haircut and wearing a Dallas Stars jersey. As tensions escalated, the latter dared the other man to fight him, calling him the N-word. Moments later, the man in the polo t-shirt threw a thunderous punch to his berater's jaw that stunned him and caused him to fall backwards into the seats. The fan in the Stars jersey bounced back and tried to punch the other man, as did a similarly clad young woman, believed to be his girlfriend. They were both kept at bay, and before the two brawling sides were separated, the Stars fan was pinned down and called a little boy. He insisted that he hadn't done anything wrong and that the other man had attacked him. It wasn't made immediately clear if there were any criminal charges associated with the incident. While most users reacting to the viral video sided with the man who'd thrown the punch, calling it an appropriate reaction to the racially charged epithet, others argued that the Dallas fan was exercising his right to free speech and that his attacker should have been charged with assault. Number 3. Austin Dewan. 25-year-old Douglas Reddish and his girlfriend were sitting at an outdoor table at Benny's Burritos on Greenwich Avenue in Manhattan, New York City in July of 2013. An inebriated man, later identified as 31-year-old Austin Dewan, walked into their table. Reddish initially tried to help Dewan, but the latter called him a racial slur, thinking that the Good Samaritan was trying to fight him. Reddish punched Dewan with such force that he flew backwards and landed on the sidewalk. The man struck his head on the pavement and began bleeding heavily. One Benny's Burritos worker was quoted as saying, "He was out cold. I thought he was dead." According to reports from witnesses at the scene, Reddish tried to hit Dewan again, but was held back by employees. He fled the scene, leaving his girlfriend behind. Upon seeing that blood had started pooling around Dewan, the man was taken to Beth Israel Hospital, where he was subsequently pronounced as being in stable condition. Reddish was charged with misdemeanor assault and released without bail following an arraignment at Manhattan Criminal Court. Prior to uttering the racist remark that got him knocked out, Dewan had exhibited erratic behavior at other establishments. After drinking over $40 worth of beer at Village Den on West 12th Street, he went to a gym and reportedly tried to sit on women's laps. Dewan then encountered a woman smoking a cigarette outside Johnny's bar on Greenwich Avenue and cried about his wife leaving him and his job at Goldman Sachs, where it was determined that he didn't actually work. By the time that he ran into Reddish's table, he reportedly could hardly walk. Number 2. Incident at Popeyes. In the fall of 2019, a clip went viral on social media showing a white patron at a Popeyes restaurant yelling a racist tirade at a black customer. It was unclear what had triggered the aggressive reaction, but aside from repeatedly uttering the N-word and fighting threats, the man also balled his fist and lunged at the victim before ultimately choosing to leave the restaurant with his chicken order. The clip's online popularity, however, mainly stemmed from the incident's aftermath. The video cut to the racist white man getting beaten outside as a crowd cheered on his attacker. An unidentified man berated him for saying the N-words, shouting, "You in my hood," as he pushed him around on the sidewalk. He then forced the man to apologize. The viral video's caption indicated that after the beatdown, the man also had his spicy chicken sandwich stolen. The restaurant chain had recently announced the return of the coveted sandwich, causing a national stir and widespread shortages. In LA, a woman damaged her car trying to get in front at the drive-thru, and in Maryland, a man by the name of Kevin Terrell was fatally stabbed for cutting in line to get the sandwich. Number 1. Tamara Harrion. Greg Conn, a customer at the convenience store of a Shell Super Pumper in North Phoenix, Arizona, captured a video of an altercation between two female customers and posted it to Facebook in June of 2020. 61-year-old Tamara Harrion had stormed into the store demanding assistance, saying that the line outside was getting long and that her gas pump wasn't working. Harrion claimed she was the establishment's manager, which was untrue. Karina Rodriguez was at the register and told Harrion that she didn't need her assistance. In the moments that followed, a verbal back and forth ensued, during which Harrion told Rodriguez, who was identified in the media as a Native American woman, to go back to her country. Rodriguez, who was born in the US, pointed out that Native Americans are from this country and insulted Harrion for her racist remarks. As Conn continued recording, Harrion approached him as well, saying he wasn't a part of the confrontation and told him, "You will leave too," before returning to Rodriguez. She then yelled at the latter, "You're going back to Mexico." Rodriguez tried to walk away but was grabbed by Harrion, to which she reacted by slapping the woman across the face. Stunned, Harrion then repeatedly exclaimed, "Oh my God!" as she walked towards the exit while rearranging her sunglasses. In the slap's immediate aftermath, Conn stated that he thought Harrion had it coming for touching Rodriguez. After the video was posted, Harrion became known as the Arizona Karen in the media. Bob, her husband, publicly apologized to Rodriguez and claimed that his wife's behavior stemmed from her mental health issues. Bob, who worked as a lawyer, noted that his wife had started making up stories and exhibiting signs of paranoia following a break-in at their home which had occurred the previous year. The man added, "You can't get her help because she doesn't think there is anything wrong with her." Thanks for watching. Would you rather be forced to go grocery shopping at your local store one time while not being allowed to wear anything but socks, or only be allowed to eat takeout for an entire year?